didn't prove nothing to anybody, only to myself. I'm not one of those guys that look to please the world. I'm just happy with what I can do.
So Mike Tyson is in tears after he found himself in the center of a controversy that has shaken the fight world to the core. Fans are heartbroken, furious, and turning their backs on the champ after his highly anticipated fight with Jake Paul went, well, not at all as expected. Let's face it, this fight was doomed from the start and everyone knew it. I mean, come on, Mike Tyson is 58 years old. The man is a living legend, but let's be real. He's not the same Tyson who used to knock people out before the bell finished ringing. On the other hand, you've got Jake Paul, a 27-year-old with youth, stamina, and let's not forget, a knack for turning anything into a viral moment. From the get-go, fans were questioning why this fight was even happening. Was it really about competition? Or was it just another payday circus for the cameras?
And Jesse Reyes see it 79-73, declaring your winner by unanimous decision, Jake El Gallo Paul!
Well, after the epic failure, fans can't help but wonder why Tyson would be part of orchestrating a charade that would tarnish his legacy. Some fans are even calling this the worst moment in boxing history, which, let's be honest, isn't far off. And now, the backlash has hit Tyson like a freight train. Fans are turning on him hard, saying he's ruined his legacy. And seeing the champ in tears during his post-fight interview? It was heartbreaking. This isn't how anyone wanted to remember one of the greatest fighters of all time. Let's break it down. It's no surprise that this bout was dubbed the fight of the century. The legend of legends, Mike Tyson, stepping back into the ring against influencer-turned-boxer Jake Paul. The excitement was through the roof, and it was something the boxing world had never seen before. Fans across the globe had high hopes, maybe too high. But when the bell rang, it was clear something wasn't right.
Yes, I was. But what did I make of it? I think commercially and a business sense, thought it was absolutely fantastic. Both men made a ton of money. So best luck to them, congratulations.
From the first round, fans were scratching their heads. Mike Tyson, the man who used to destroy opponents in seconds, looked sluggish, tired, and dare I say, disinterested. Meanwhile, Jake Paul was bouncing around the ring, landing punches like he was sparring with a training dummy. In case you missed it, here's pretty much what happened. In round one, Tyson came out of the gate like he had something to prove. He tried to pressure Jake, walking him into the ropes, but Jake's footwork was just too slick. The kid was moving around the ring like he was playing tag, while Tyson looked like he was trying to remember how to pivot. The crowd got a little excited when Jake landed a big overhand right that sent Tyson stumbling back, but after that it was all nerves and jabs. Not much action, but Jake edged it easily. In the second round, Tyson showed flashes of the old Iron Mike, throwing a decent right hook to the body. The crowd went wild, hoping for some vintage Tyson action, but let's be real, it wasn't enough. Jake kept using his speed and youth to stay out of danger. Tyson held the center of the ring, but it felt like Jake was controlling the tempo without even trying. Now, round three is where things started to get rough for Tyson. Early in the round, Jake landed a crisp left hook counter that rocked the legend. Tyson was visibly unsteady, and a sharp 1-2 combo had fans wincing. To his credit, Jake didn't go for the knockout, probably out of respect, or maybe because he didn't want to end the fight too soon. Either way, it was clear who was in control. By the fourth round, the energy in the arena shifted. It felt like Jake realized he had this in the bag and decided to coast a little. He started controlling the center of the ring, dictating the tempo, and landing just enough punches to stay ahead. Tyson, meanwhile, looked like he was running out of steam, throwing fewer punches and relying on his movement to survive. Round 5 was all about survival mode, and at this point, it was painful to watch. Tyson had landed only 15 punches in 5 rounds. 15. Jake was comfortably dictating the pace, using his jab to keep Tyson at bay. It wasn't exciting, but it was effective. Tyson looked like he was just trying to make it to the final bell, while Jake looked like he was sparring for fun. And if you thought it couldn't get worse, think again. Round 6 was where the fight hit rock bottom. Jake seemed almost hesitant to throw punches as if he felt bad for the guy. Tyson, bless him, was trying, but his punches had no snap, no power. It was a sad sight for fans who grew up watching Tyson's reign of terror in the heavyweight division. Tyson showed a brief sign of life at the start of round 7 with a powerful left hand, but that was about it. Jake answered back with a flurry in the final 20 seconds, landing clean shots to the head and body. By now, it was clear that Jake was toying with Tyson, landing just enough to keep the judges happy while avoiding any unnecessary risks. By the final round, Tyson was visibly exhausted, breathing heavily in his corner before the bell. He tried to muster a last-ditch effort, throwing a few more punches, but they lacked the power and precision that once made him a champion. Jake, ever the showman, coasted to the finish line and even bowed in respect to Tyson with 10 seconds left. It was over, and everyone knew it.
I wouldn't be in here.
The broadcast team was debating what you were doing with your glove. Was it a mouthpiece issue, or were you just biting on your glove? What was that? Could you tell us?
Oh, I have a habit of biting my gloves when I fight, yes.
Why do you do that?
To sum it up, this wasn't the epic showdown fans were hoping for. It was not even close. This fight was an awkward, one-sided affair that left everyone feeling uncomfortable. Tyson's age, Jake's dominance, and the bizarre pacing of the fight made it more of a spectacle than a true contest. Fans left the arena not talking about Jake's win, but about how sad it was to see a legend struggle like that. And Tyson? He couldn't help but shed tears at the entire fiasco. I mean, it wasn't just the fact that he lost to a YouTuber turned boxer, but his longtime fans were turning on him. And not because he couldn't keep up with a 27-year-old in his prime while pushing 60s, but because he agreed to a fight that was meant to tarnish his legacy. Let's be real for a second. Mike Tyson had no chance against Jake Paul, and it's not even an insult to the legend. It's just cold, hard reality. Father Time doesn't spare anyone, not even Iron Mike. At 58 years old, Tyson was stepping into the ring with a 27-year-old, an age difference of over 3 decades. In sports, especially one as punishing as boxing, that kind of age gap is a game changer. No matter how fierce Tyson's legacy is, or how many highlights we've seen of him decimating opponents in his prime, the odds were stacked against him before the first bell even rang.
Yes, sir, that's the one.
Get this. Tyson's health played an even bigger role in the fight than many people realize. According to his own post-fight confession, Tyson nearly died just months before the bout. Yes, you heard that right. He revealed that he had suffered a life-threatening health scare in June, requiring 8 blood transfusions after losing half his blood and dropping 25 pounds in the hospital. Imagine recovering from that kind of trauma and then stepping into a boxing ring to face a younger, healthier, and more determined opponent. Tyson might be tough, but he's not superhuman. And to add another layer to this, reports also suggest Tyson has been battling ulcers and other debilitating health issues. These are not the conditions of a man ready to take on an intense 8-round fight. Even though Jake Paul and his team claimed they were unaware of the extent of Tyson's health struggles, the physical disparity was crystal clear in the ring. Tyson only managed to connect with 18 punches over 8 rounds. Out of 5 attempted jabs, not a single one landed, and he only hit with 4 of his 13 power punches to the body. These are numbers that would have been unthinkable in his prime. But let's not forget, this wasn't prime Mike Tyson. This was a 58-year-old man fighting more for legacy and pride than actual competition.
What do you think about Mike Tyson, David? What do you think about the Mike Tyson fight?
To be honest with you, I think it was a good fight, good turnout, but I don't want to see Mike Tyson fight no more. I think he hopefully hangs it up.
The reality is, when you put a 27-year-old in peak physical condition against a man who hasn't fought professionally since 2005, the outcome becomes painfully predictable. Paul, love him or hate him, has spent the last few years training relentlessly. He's younger, faster, and doesn't have the same wear and tear on his body. No amount of Tyson's legendary grit and experience could overcome that. And let's address another key point. Tyson's health wasn't just a factor in his performance, it was a looming danger. Post-fight, Tyson admitted that completing those 8 rounds was a personal victory for him, saying he wanted to show his children that he could still stand toe-to-toe with someone half his age. That's a touching sentiment, but it underscores just how much he was pushing his limits. This wasn't just about winning or losing, it was about proving something to himself and the world. But at what cost? His struggles in the fight weren't just a reflection of his age, they were a reminder that boxing is a young man's game. Let's face it, no one would bet on a 58-year-old in any combat sport against a skilled 27-year-old. The odds are astronomical. While Tyson is and always will be a legend, this fight was a stark reminder that age and health will always win out in the end. Jake Paul's victory might not sit well with hardcore Tyson fans, but it was inevitable from the moment the fight was announced.
Man, this is just sad. The bar is so freaking low, and everyone is an expert. I'm out of here. No point of that fight. To the bows of the chair to ring with my...
In the aftermath of the fight, boxing fans are fuming and the internet is in flames with conspiracy theories about how this fight might have been, well, let's say less than authentic. The idea that this bout was scripted has gained serious traction, and honestly, the evidence piling up isn't helping Tyson's case at all. First, we need to talk about that fight script leak. If you missed it, a detailed script of how the fight was allegedly going to play out started circulating on social media before the match even took place. This supposed script predicted everything down to how the crowd would react and even claimed Tyson would sustain a staged cut above his eye in the 4th round. While most dismissed it as fake, the mere existence of this document planted a seed of doubt. And when you pair that with how lackluster and almost rehearsed the actual fight felt, it's easy to see why fans are side-eyeing the whole event. Even though the script didn't materialize exactly as written, it added fuel to the fire that something fishy was going on.
In breaking news, streaming giant Netflix is being issued a class action in relation to the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight.
Then there's the betting ban. Did you know several U.S. states outright banned wagering on this fight? Red flag alert. Betting agencies in states like New York and Pennsylvania refused to take bets because of what they called non-traditional rules. The fight had shorter rounds, 2 minutes instead of the standard 3 for professional bouts, and the fighters wore heavier gloves, which reduced the impact of punches. These aren't minor tweaks, they scream exhibition match. Yet the fight was marketed as a legit professional contest. When gambling regulators think the fight isn't credible enough to place bets on, how are fans supposed to believe in its legitimacy and the signals? Oh, you bet fans were watching closely, and they think they've caught Jake Paul signaling Tyson to take it easy. In one clip that's been shared thousands of times, Tyson lands a clean shot on Paul's chin. But instead of reacting like a boxer who's just been rocked, Paul sticks out his tongue and smirks. Classic Jake Paul showmanship, right? But conspiracy theorists are convinced this was Paul subtly telling Tyson not to press forward. Whether you buy into the theory or not, this moment has become the centerpiece of fan outrage, with many calling it undeniable proof that Tyson was pulling his punches. And speaking of punches, let's talk about how few were actually thrown. By the end of the match, Paul had landed 78 punches compared to Tyson's measly 18. For comparison, most professional bouts have fighters exchanging hundreds of blows over the course of a match. The lack of action in the final rounds led to boos echoing around the stadium. Fans weren't just bored, they felt cheated. And when Jake Paul himself admitted after the fight that he didn't want to knock Tyson out, to boxing pros and pundits, that kind of statement undermines everything the sport stands for. It's not a charity match, it's supposed to be a contest. But wait, there's more. Tyson's own former coach Teddy Atlas threw some shade on the fight too. Before the bout, Atlas openly questioned whether it would be real or just a glorified sparring session. And with hindsight, his skepticism feels eerily prophetic. It's hard not to feel disappointed when even those closest to Tyson are casting doubt on his intentions in the ring.
The ones who just came right out and said, oh no, come on, this is ridiculous. If you think anything other than the 28-year-old win, you're an idiot.
And let's not forget the commentary from past and present boxers. Carl Froch, never one to hold back, flat out called the fight scripted before it even happened. According to Froch, there was no way Tyson would ever win, because it was in the contract. He predicted Tyson would start well and then fall over, a claim that was uncomfortably close to how the fight actually unfolded. And when another boxer from the undercard labeled the fight a fix, it added credibility to what might have otherwise been dismissed as sour grapes.
And that's what this fight was. The fight itself was a massive anticlimax. It was fucking crap. It was a waste of time. I'm glad I didn't stay up late to watch it. All the people that pay good money to be there and watch it.
Fans also can't get over the fact that Tyson embraced Paul so warmly at the end of the match. Sure, sportsmanship is a thing, but this moment felt more like two business partners congratulating each other on a successful PR stunt. And speaking of PR, the Netflix broadcast didn't exactly help matters. From the dramatic camera angles to the over-the-top commentary, everything felt a little too produced, if you know what I mean. All of this has led to a massive shift in how fans view Mike Tyson. Once the most feared man on the planet, Iron Mike now finds himself accused of selling out his legacy for a payday. Social media is littered with comments like, "I can't believe Tyson went along with this," and "He's tarnished his reputation forever." For a man whose name was once synonymous with authenticity and raw power, this is a tough pill to swallow. Fans aren't just upset, they're heartbroken. Plus, there's a clear motive as to why Tyson and Jake would pull off such a stunt, because the bag from this fight was heavier than you can imagine. All right, let's get into the money side of things, because honestly, it's hard to ignore just how stacked the payday was for both Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. This wasn't just some backyard boxing brawl. It was a multi-million-dollar event, and the numbers will make your jaw drop. The fight took place at a Tandy Stadium in Arlington, Texas, with a seating capacity of a whopping 80,000 people. And the ticket sales? Absolutely insane. VIP packages alone ranged from $5,000 to a jaw-dropping $25,000. Oh, and let's not forget the MVP Owner's Experience package, valued at $2 million. Who's dropping that kind of cash for a fight? Apparently, a lot of people. Plus, this wasn't your typical pay-per-view. It was streamed live on Netflix, raking in even more revenue from their massive global audience. And the fighters? Yeah, they cashed in big time. While Tyson's exact payout wasn't disclosed, boxing insiders estimated he made somewhere around $20 million. For context, that's more than what some top-tier champions make in their prime fights. And Jake Paul? He walked away with a casual $40 million. Yes, you heard that right. $40 million to pretty much spar with a legend? With that kind of money on the line, you can see why the temptation to agree to a scripted fight would be hard to resist. I mean, who wouldn't want to get in on that kind of payday? But here's the thing. Fans aren't exactly buying it, especially when it comes to Mike Tyson. Sure, he made millions, but at what cost? Tyson isn't just any boxer. He's the Mike Tyson, a living legend who redefined what it meant to be a heavyweight champion. Fans expected fireworks, but what they got felt more like a dud firecracker. And now, they're asking the hard questions. Was the money really worth selling out his legacy for what many are calling a glorified sparring match? For a man who's already made his mark as one of the greatest to ever step into the ring, the choice to return and put on lackluster performances feels unnecessary and honestly, a little disappointing. Look, Tyson's glory days are behind him, and that's okay. His legacy as one of the most dominant forces in boxing history is already cemented. Nobody expected him to step back into the ring and replicate the ferocity of his prime. But agreeing to a fight that feels orchestrated has fans questioning if the payday was worth more to him than preserving the respect and awe that surrounded his name. Now, let's not sugarcoat this. Fans are mad. Social media is flooded with comments like, "Tyson didn't need to do this," and "Why tarnish your legacy for a quick buck?" It's not just about the fight, it's about the symbolism of seeing a legend take the stage for what felt like a business transaction rather than a battle. For Gen Z boxing enthusiasts who grew up hearing stories about Tyson's terrifying power and dominance, this fight felt like a betrayal of everything they admired about him. And it's not like Tyson needed the money. Sure, $20 million is a hefty check, but this is a man who's been cashing in on his image and ventures for years, everything from his cannabis company to his iconic podcast, Hot Boxin' with Mike Tyson. So why come back to the ring and risk looking like a sellout? The answer, unfortunately, seems to be that the allure of the millions was just too hard to say no to. And while you can't fault him for taking the bag, it's the fans who feel like they've been left holding the short end of the stick. And Tyson's emotional breakdown wasn't just an act of regret, it was a reality check. Let's face it, he couldn't have offered more, even if he wanted to. The truth was written all over the fight. His body simply failed to keep up. For a man once hailed as the baddest man on the planet, watching him struggle to match the pace of 27-year-old Jake Paul was a tough pill to swallow for fans and purists alike. Sure, from a PR perspective, the fight did what it was supposed to. It got people talking. Headlines, social media buzz, Netflix views, and massive ticket sales made it a financial success. But to true boxing purists, this wasn't just a letdown, it was a disaster. This wasn't a showcase of Tyson's legendary skills. It felt more like a hollow exhibition where the spotlight shined brighter on the paycheck than the performance. Fans didn't tune in to see a slowed-down Tyson trying to survive 8 rounds. They tuned in to see a glimmer of the ferocious fighter who once ruled the ring. And let's be real, they didn't get that. Tyson himself admitted that he knew fans expected more, and the heartbreaking part? Even he expected more from himself. But instead of delivering a knockout performance, he had to settle for simply hanging in there. For Tyson, that was enough. After all, he's 58 years old and hasn't fought professionally in years. Just stepping into the ring and lasting all 8 rounds was an achievement in his eyes. But is that really all that matters? To Tyson, maybe. He sees this fight as proof that he still has the guts to stand in the ring, even against the odds. But for the fans who followed him for decades, the question lingers. Was it worth it? Sure, Tyson is proud of surviving, but to the rest of us, this fight felt more like the end of an era. A reminder that time is undefeated, even against legends like Iron Mike. So there you have it, Mike Tyson's emotional breakdown, the doubts about Jake Paul, and the fight that left fans divided. Whether this was a PR stunt gone too far or a genuine clash of generations, one thing is clear. The buzz around this event has reshaped the boxing world in ways no one saw coming. Will Jake Paul's next fight silence the critics? Will Tyson step back into the ring again? Only time will tell. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. We'll see you in the next video with the latest updates.